Hey, good evening, everyone. This is another session of Tuesday's Thoughts. Really good to be on air this evening. We're continuing our series of moving beyond stuck. Many people are stuck in relationships, and I'm just waiting for the first person for the eyeball, and then just to say, yeah, you can hear everything. And I just need to say as well, I've been having problems with my internet today. I'm not too sure why that is, but I've had a couple of things that just haven't worked well. However, let's hope that this will last out for about 15, 20 minutes for today. Okay, I'm just waiting for. Well, I know there's two people watching, so I don't know if somebody can just say good evening, can hear you, and all that type of stuff. I'm good to go. I'm ready, warmed up, souped up, and all the rest of it. My name is Delroy Hall. Good evening. Thank you, Jerry. Great. Good to see you this evening. And anyone who's catching on, watch up. Somebody contacted me a few days ago to say they'll be watching on catch up. That's fine. Welcome. And anybody else on the planet where you're watching this, we are looking at moving beyond stock. Good evening, Sonia. I don't know where my sound engineer is here, but hey, look, I've got two other sound engineers here as well. So as I said before, if you're watching for the first time, my name is Delroy Hall. I'm a trained counsellor and teacher and lecturer and trainer with over 30 odd years of experience. So I'm just sharing some thoughts and ideas. So we're moving beyond stock. One of the things, I'll just start off with something that my daughters are now in their 20s. Good evening, Jeff. Good to see you this evening. And anyone else who's watching silently, busy taking notes, and counselors taking notes to use in their practice. Good stuff, as long as you can share it. That's great. One of my daughters went to uni, and I said to her before she went, I said, listen, be very careful how you start your courting or dating relationship or going out. She said, Dad, what do you mean? If you start wrong, and you then that relationship ends, you'll find yourself, if you're not careful, getting into another similar type of relationship. The next thing, 3 or 4 relationships, and a pattern is set up. There's a particular guy you're attracted to. There's a pattern that's set up that can be quite destructive. So be very careful how you do your relationships. Good evening, Jenny. Good to see you here this evening, and anyone else who's on air. So I just want to read, just want to consult some notes as we look into this moving beyond stock over the next 15, 20 minutes or so. And I can't remember the author now, but I'm just acknowledging that this is not my work, this is somebody else's work. Just so I'm not accused of intellectual theft or plagiarism. So our past affects our present. In romantic relationships, I need to say as well, I've had some problems with my internet. So if you have problems, can't hear me, please just send me a message. Hopefully I can read it. And then I'm not too sure what I'll do, but I'll do something. Okay, in our romantic relationships, often repeat behaviors. We often repeat behaviors to make up the shortfall in previous ones. So it's very clear that when you go into your next relationship, if you've not had time to work through the issues, what's happened, you're going to do it in the second one and the third one and the fourth one. In psychology, there's something called repetition compulsion. It's called repetition compulsion. We're trying to fix hurt from the past by pursuing situations or people that once hurt you. So sometimes, and we're not doing this consciously, we're doing this at an unconscious level. We've been hurt in the past, and we move on to the next relationship, and we try to resolve the hurt in the new relationship when the issues need to be sorted out in the previous relationship. Our childhood experiences with our parents, teachers, friends impact how we operate personally and professionally. Example, when I was working with individuals, if they were bullied at school, I then said, if you went to college, were you bullied at college? Yes. Third, are you being bullied at university? The reason why I asked the question is that if there is no arresting of the bullying, they will have relationships that are bullying. They will be in workplaces where they're bullied. And it had all its roots in early years, in infant school, primary school, senior school, and it needs to be broken. If not, subsequent relationships, college, university, work, so forth, individuals will continue being bullied. So that's something to kind of bear in mind. So our childhood experience, they shape how we operate and interact with other people personally and professionally. Many people enter early adulthood who have insecurity around creating and managing relationships. We are not fully aware of the patterns they experience while younger, and they actually reenact them as they get older. I see it all the time. You see some behaviors in adulthood, and then you ask, where has this come about? They don't know. So then you ask individuals for a kind of a kind of timeline of life experiences, and you see the pattern coming up time and time and time again. So it's being aware that our past relationship shapes how we engage with present relationships, not unless we do something really intentional to move away from the type of relationship we've had. So these are some of the telltale signs. So tonight we're looking at some of the telltale signs that you're stuck and you can't get past a relationship. One of the things, of course, if you are stuck, one of the signs are that you continually talk about your ex when you're in a new relationship. So the first date, the second date, the third date, the fourth date, you keep talking about the ex. It means that you're stuck. And if you're talking about your ex, it means that your current relationship is not going to survive. So you keep talking about your ex too much. The first date, I think, where people are seeing each other and so forth, fine. But if there's subsequent dates, you keep talking about your ex, it means that you're stuck. Or the other one is, I'm not talking about your ex at all. So you're in a new relationship, and part of getting to know individuals is knowing about the previous relationship. Nope, don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about him. Don't want to talk about her. And this goes on and on. That too can have difficulties in the relationship. Refusal to talk about your ex. It's different if you said, look, I don't really want to talk about it, but this is what she was like. This is what he was like. And at least there's a conversation. But if there's no conversation at all, it means that you're stuck and you're not able to move on. Another sign and symptom that you're stuck is online stalking. That the relationship has ended, but you go on the social media to find out what they're doing. That's also another form of being stuck. You can't move past the relationship. You want to know what they're doing. You want to know what she's doing or they're doing. And then sometimes you've got really bad friends who say, oh, I saw so-and-so on Facebook and all the rest of it. Thank you, sound engineer. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so those things. So talking about your ex too much, not talking about your ex at all, and online stalking, which, as I said before, you person on Facebook, person on Twitter, Instagram, and you keep going on it day and night, 24/7. You're on it all the time. Another sign that you're stuck is that there's too much contact. The relationship has ended, and I hear it. You can imagine over 35 years, we've ended, but we're deciding to be friends. And sometimes what you need a separation, you need a break if you're going to be friends again. So too much contact with your ex. I'll give you a true story. Somebody I met many years ago, and then when I got involved in some international work, we reconnected. So we met at a big event a few years ago now, and he had an 8-year-old child, but he was separating and divorced. So we were talking, and I said to him, I shan't say his name because he might be listening. I said to him, how long were you married for? And he started laughing. I said, what? He said, 2 days. I said, what do you mean 2 days? He said, got married. We went to the hotel the night. He said, Delroy, I was looking forward to spending the night with my wife. And she said to me, I'm just going out for a few minutes. And she said, she never came back. She went back to her ex. That's what happened. So, okay, brilliant. We're back. Yeah. So got married, looking forward to the night with his wife. I'm just going out for a few minutes. Yeah, fine. Never came back. Anyway, somehow they got a child in terms of the relationship, but then she went back to her ex. So this is my friend, but I've heard it over and over again. People get married and they go back to their ex. People get married after a month. This is not a want. They go back to their ex. We're really strange as human beings. And also, not gotten over the past. You're stuck in a previous relationship. You're still texting the person. You're still calling them, even if you're even if you're in a current relationship. Those things don't go that well at all. So here's another one, which is not pleasant at all. I've had somebody I know this happened to. In the moment of passion, while you're making love, or well, having sex, whatever you want to say, the person calls out the name of their ex. Can you imagine? But it happens. It does happen. And just a disclaimer: tonight there might be some kind of there might be one or two other sexual moments, but in fact, it's all about relationships anyway. So yeah, so a new partner, passionate love, and really getting into it, and then one of them calls out the name of their former lover. Doesn't go down well at all. That is not good. It's a sign that you are stuck. Another thing is keeping mementos. So, for example, somebody I've given somebody a really nice necklace or a bracelet or other mementos. Could be photographs. And now I'm in the person in a new relationship, and they keep all the old photographs up, the stuff that I gave as a gift. They still look at them, and they can't put them away. They're still looking at them. That is also a sign of being stuck. It's not about liking the thing. This is the gift that was given, and now it's time to move on. Unlike my friend who, when I was at school, any girl he dated, when he ended the relationship, he wanted all the gifts back. It was horrible. That was horrible. You don't do that to people. Yeah, so he did that. He was known for it. When he finished with a girl, all the gifts he'd given to her, he wanted them back. Not very good at all. Another thing can be kind of hot and cold in a relationship. So the person is in a new relationship, but they've still got feelings and thoughts of the previous relationship. So they're in a kind of state of inner turmoil. And what can happen? You're in this new relationship, and this person can appear cold as you get close to them. They're thinking about the previous relationship. And then what happens, they turn the passion on because they're now feeling guilty because they're thinking about their previous partner. So this happens in relationships as well. So again, there's certain things you have to do. You have to do, or they have to do. So this kind of hot and cold, push and pull. Okay, we're back. This is not. Oh yeah. It's second time this happened this evening. If the screen goes blank, can you just let me know? Just send a message. Screen has gone blank, because it goes blank my end, but I'm not too sure what's happening your end. Please just let me know that you can't see me. Okay, so there's this kind of push and pull, and there's another thing now as well, linked to the previous one of the previous ones, trouble in the bedroom. That one of the difficulties can be if the person is stuck in a relationship, you're now in a new one, you're now in the bedroom, getting all amorous and intimate. The guy can't get an erection or can't maintain one, and the woman has a real difficulty reaching an orgasm. Can be emotional hang-ups due to a previous relationship, thinking about this person, and also maybe they're not fully surrendered in this new relationship that they're in. However, I want to offer a word of caution. It doesn't necessarily mean so. There are illnesses, there are conditions that can cause people to either cause men to lose an erection or can't maintain an erection, or for women to reach an orgasm. So it doesn't have to be that the person is stuck, but just being mindful that there's other conditions. So, for example, somebody can be on blood pressure tablets, people can have diabetes, certain forms of illness that can cause men to be unable to maintain an erection. Even stress. I remember someone showed me some time ago, he was that stressed with what was happening in his life, he wasn't able to maintain an erection. So it's not just the person is stuck in the previous one. There could be many other factors as well. So I thought I'd just point that one out. It's really important. Another big one can be is the fear of how somebody's body looks. If a woman has been in a relationship where a guy really disrespected her and abused her body, in the sense of maybe verbally abusing it, that she may have real difficulties in being close in this new relationship. So it means that she's stuck due to the abuse and trauma from a previous relationship, and it's very difficult for her to kind of be in this current relationship. So that's something to be mindful of. But also for the guy as well, if he has been ridiculed about his shape or his manhood or whatever, that can cause problems in a previous from a previous relationship, and it can cause problems in a current relationship because their self-esteem is low, and fear has kind of gripped them, so they just can't relax with each other. And you may say, well, look, Delroy, look, look, I didn't sign up for all this kind of naughty business. It's not naughty. Listen, over 35 years, there's not much I've not heard when it comes to counselling and being with people and we're working with couples. So certainly, if anybody's thinking of ever becoming a counsellor, you have to be open to the breadth of life and not feel uncomfortable about talking about it and being open and honest. Because if you're uncomfortable about talking about it, the client will pick it up, close down the conversation, and you won't see them again. So these are just some things, and these are real things. These are real issues for people that can really hinder. So instead of enjoying the current one, the current relationship, you can be carrying past issues from other relationships. So I'll just say a bit more, then I'm going to look at some antidotes. So other signs and symptoms about being stuck: hold on to grudges. So-and-so treated you really bad, and you move into the next relationship, and if you're not careful, you start treating this new relationship person bad because you've not been able to deal with the previous relationship. One of the things, of course, another thing that really damages people, women more so than men, but men as well, self-blame. The previous relationship ended, or 2 or 3 relationships ended, and you blame yourself. It could be the person just wasn't right for you. They weren't treating you properly and all the rest of it, and you blame yourself. That can be a hindrance of you being stuck in a particular relationship. Another thing that can help us, that can cause us to be stuck, believe it or not, we're in a relationship, a new one, and we're thinking of the previous one, and we're thinking, what could have been? What could life have been like with so and so? That is a killer for a present relationship. So there are ways in which you can have to work that through. But these simple things, you might think, well, Delroy, does that really? Yeah, it really does. It can really hinder people in moving forward in a new relationship because they're stuck, because they're thinking about what could have been. And more so, if you're talking about the future, you're talking about getting married, you're talking about having children and doing things together, and the relationship has ended. So all those dreams are shattered. And one of the things I've always said to individuals, I have said, but whether or not they do is something different. When you've ended a relationship, don't go immediately into a new one. And over the years, especially with young people, when I've been working as a student counselor, and I guess when you're young, you kind of do these things. So if somebody's been in loads of relationships, and when you're working with them, the relationship ends, and you think to yourself, oh, great. Now they can be on their own for a bit, so we can work through some issues whilst they're on their own. 2 weeks later, they'll say, oh, Delroy, I've met somebody else. I think, oh, gosh, no. You needed to be on your own to work through some stuff without getting caught up and being involved with somebody else. So that's in terms of wondering what could have been. Also being stuck is that you can ignore, dismiss, or deny or reject new opportunities. A new opportunity has arisen. I was with somebody some time ago, and I could see that there were certain things she started to talk about, and her body language change and a face grimace as she's talking about certain things. And I remember thinking at the time, you've not worked through these issues, and they are going to be following you. And this woman is not somebody in her teens or 20s or 30s or 40s. It's somebody who's seen a bit of life but hasn't worked through some of the issues, and the new opportunities that have presented themselves, ignore, dismiss, reject, or deny them because she's not been able to work through previous difficult relationships. The other thing to suggest that also that you may be stuck, that you've got no future plans for your life. none whatsoever. So your life ended with the previous relationship, or 2 or 3 relationships past. Your life ended, and you've got no future. You've got no plan for a future life, because your future is linked to the previous partner you had maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, or so forth. And the final, well, there's loads more, and I'm going to share a few more next week because it's really interesting. One of the things about a sign that you're stuck is that you're not looking forward to anything. That's it. Life has ended, pretty much, which is very different from the previous one. But this one, life has ended, no future, nothing to look forward to. He's gone, she's gone. That's it. I'm ended. And it's really hard work to begin working with individuals. And quite often those individuals, part of their thinking was, I'm now with this person, I'm going to be happy. The happiness was linked to the other person. What I say to individuals, do not base being happy on being connected with another person. Find happiness on your own, and the person who you meet next, or you meet next and they meet you, is to enhance each other's happiness, not to make each other happy. Okay, question. What if person A has moved on, but the other person B hasn't moved on and keeps turning up? Can this prevent person A from being truthful? Yeah, it can. I think fatal attraction kind of comes to mind in a kind of gruesome way, frightening way. It can, yes, it can prevent, but I suppose it's a case of, if the person is being stalked, we now know that you can go to the police. And maybe before you go to the police, you'd have to have a conversation. And if you're in a new relationship, you need to be very honest with your new partner. Say, look, I've told this person very clearly that we're finished, but they keep following me about. And maybe one of the ways, of course, is that if you do have a final meeting with them, you go to the new partner. With your new partner. Maybe the new partner is a silent witness, so he or she hears and sees what takes place. But then if it's really getting bad, and the other person can't let you go, or you can't shake the other person off, I would say that's the time that you get the authorities involved. And certainly if your life is being threatened, or you think it's being threatened. So yeah, can this prevent person A being truly free? In one sense, because the person is still around. And now, in some relationships that end, years later, you meet each other, you can be friends. But this type of scenario, it's very difficult to be friends later, because in a sense, they're muddying the waters by kind of hanging around, even though you said, look, this is ended, this is finished. And certainly, the other thing I'd say, maybe it doesn't answer the question, but it just occurred to me. I just remember somebody wanting to finish with a woman years ago, and he said, look, I want to finish with her. And she said, if you finish with me, I'm going to take my own life. And in the end, what happened, she put some stuff on Facebook about him, which didn't go down very well. He was suspended from his course. Now, the danger, of course, is that the relationship ended, but he then, if he doesn't get the proper support, might go into a new relationship and be really scared to end it because of what had happened previously. So it's really kind of tricky. So what are some of the remedies of what I'm saying today? Well, one of the things, of course, is to approach the situation by communicating with your new partner. Now, so you communicate with your new partner, be open, be honest. So this whole conversation is really, really important. So I remember talking to somebody recently. He got married last year, and I asked him how things were going, and he said, well, things are going really well. And he says, I remember when we had premarital counseling, they really emphasized communication. Communication is really important. And if there's difficulties in a previous relationship, be upfront in the new relationship. Now, you may say, Delroy, look, it's going really well. I don't want to lose the person. You'll certainly lose them if they hear about it third hand. But be open and honest with them, things that might be happening, the difficulties in the previous relationship. The reason sometimes I'm a bit cold with you is because this happened in my previous relationship. And if it's a relationship worth investing in, they will see with you. if they tell you to get over yourself and sort yourself out and man up, it may be you need to rethink the, you may have to rethink the relationship. This is what I know. This is what I know. No matter how people are bad, crass, hostile, and cruel, when those same individuals have a difficult time, they want compassion and mercy in their moment of crisis, on their moments of despair. So if you're starting a relationship and you need to share some things with a new person, they don't give you a listening ear, they don't even attempt to understand, they tell you, look, you need to sort yourself out, or listen, sort yourself out, or we're done. That's a relationship. Before they say we're done, you tell them, okay, we're done. That's a relationship that hasn't, in a sense, I would say to you that when the chips are down, you might be on your own with that one. So before you're then jettisoned, it might be good that you end it and you let the person know why you're not the person for me. So hope that answered your question, Jenny. If not, come back to me. So begin a conversation with a new partner. If there's going to be a future with a partner, we must begin to talk, even if it's difficult. And one of the things I've learned over the years, talk about things early so they don't pop up later on, a lot later, and more problematic. Things like, you're in a relationship, there's a past that you're struggling with. I need your help. I need your reassurance. It means we're going to be vulnerable, yes, but relationships only mature and grow when people are vulnerable in them. That's how it is. That's just how it is. Where relationships, and if a relationship with the future, part of it's to do with about being vulnerable, being open and honest and transparent with the person, with the idea that you may be rejected. My father used to say to me, I don't know if I shared it here. He's he passed away long before I was married, but he said to me, Delroy, when you get married, you have to go in with one eye shut. And I don't think that needs any explaining. You can't see everything, you can't comment on everything, and the person who you meet, the older you are, we have a past that we bring into the relationship. If all else fails and you can't talk to the individual, or your new partner wants to understand is really struggling, that's the time you go and seek the help of a therapist or a counselor. But the new partner, if they're with you, they say, look, you know what, I don't fully understand this. I want us to have a future together. I want the best out of you. And there are men who will say that to their female partners, and there are females who will say that to their male partners. I hear stories all the time, Delroy, there's no good guys out there. No, there's no good women out there. Yes, there are. We just haven't found them. You'll never ever convince me that all men are bad. You're never going to convince me that all women are bad. Never in a million years. We just haven't found them. And quite often, the people who have something about them, they've done a lot of work on themselves, and they don't shine, and they're not there out in the open, but we do find them. We do find them. They are there. So the whole thing about telltale signs, talking about your ex too much, not talking about your ex at all, online stalking or cyber stalking, too much contact with your ex, that's another telltale sign. One of the signs, of course, is that while you're being intimate with your new partner, that you call out your previous partner name while you're making love. That ain't good at all. That is anyway, let's not even go there. There might be children watching, so I don't want to say what I'd say, but that is a killer. If there's going to be any passion, calling out somebody's name would kill every passion that's going. I do recall, as I'm talking about this, I recall working with an Asian woman many years ago who told me about a brother of hers who fell in love with an English woman. Family intervened, prevented the relationship going forward. He ended up with an arranged marriage, and he called the daughter the girlfriend's name. So when we kind of get involved in people's lives and all the rest of it, things can happen which are really kind of bizarre. So keeping mementos from the person from the past. We've got hot and cold, push-pull relationship whereby you're still thinking about your ex, and then you get caught cold, and your new partner picks up the fact you're cold, and then you feel guilty think about the other person, and then you turn the passion on. So this new person thinking, what on earth is going on? Conversation is needed. Trouble in the bedroom, maintaining an erection, unable to have an orgasm, thinking about previous partners, but also there could be other health issues. So there could be health issues as well. Also how we look, our bodies, especially more so with women than men, a kind of a real thing about their bodies, and so forth. That can have, and that has its roots maybe in either from earlier stuff or past relationships that were quite abusive. The person, male or female, weren't very endearing about how you looked, and that can have some difficulty as well. And I shared a few more things as well. So listen, 30 minutes is enough. I think you kind of get the picture in terms of getting past stuck. It's about acknowledging these. I'm going to share a little bit more next week. There's loads of stuff, and some of them really kind of deep rooted. And sometimes what I would say to individuals, if you realize that you're not in a relationship at the moment, but you either it's really hard for you to start forming another relationship, you realize either there's trust issues because of what's happened, there's lots of pain and so forth. I would really suggest to you, seek professional help. And once you're able to work that through, I don't believe for 1 minute that you have to be in a relationship to be happy. But I'd like to know you have the opportunity and you're free to be happy because you've worked through your issues, and you're not coming up against a brick wall that every time you meet a guy or a girl, that all this stuff comes up and it stops you from going forward. I would prefer that you see a therapist, invest in yourself, so that if an opportunity arrives, you're able to walk into it. Yeah, with a bit of fear and trepidation, but you know you dealt with the issues, you know what some of the red flags are, and before things get too serious, you see red flags, you end it. And that's what happens when you do the work with a therapist. You may see something you're attracted to, but the minute you see red flags, you're off, because you've done it before, you stayed with it, it's not changed. And so these are just some tips that can help you move on and get past stuck. So if there are no more questions or comments, thank you very much indeed for your time. If you're watching on catch up, I hope you found this helpful. Please DM me. November the 11th, the flyer is almost done, so you'll be seeing it shortly on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and also Facebook for my event in Walsall in November the 11th. So speak to you soon. Take care. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks you, everybody else. And then what else is watching silently, thank you for your time. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of the week. Catch you later. Take care now. Bye-bye.